I'm going to be chatting about sexually transmitted debt. That's an STD. And welcome to an episode of Chop Chat Cook. We're in my kitchen in Brisbane, and the kitchen is the heart of a home. I'd like to welcome Lois. Lois is going to have a chat with me. I'm going to talk a little bit about what sexually transmitted debt is and the consequences of sexually transmitted debt. Sexually transmitted debt sort of primarily affects women, and it's when a partnership, like a marriage or a relationship, and one partner takes on responsibility for a debt. And an example of this is a friend of mine. She was married and her husband had to have a Saab, like a brand new Saab, but he didn't have a job and she had a job, and he was an overseas resident. So she was the one who took out the loan for the Saab. And he also really, really wanted a red leather sofa, but again, he didn't have a job. So my friend took on the loan for the sofa and the car, and that relationship broke off, and he went back overseas to where he lived, and my friend was left to pay off both the Saab and the sofa. Yeah, so that's sort of like sexually transmitted debt, and just a couple of examples of that. So the consequences of that is that it has a really big financial impact on predominantly the woman who's left to pay off that debt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and her means to pay off that debt.
That's right.
And she might not have a really good job, but she needs the money to even survive. And then she's got this debt hanging over her head.
Yeah, so not one but two in that case. So that's sort of, well, the consequences can be that the debt is too great to service. You know, perhaps you might lose your home in that process, and perhaps you have to sell that car. But again, you know, perhaps you're not going to have enough money from the sale of that car to pay off the debt, so you still sort of got some problems there. In terms of protecting yourself, so, you know, like one of the ways to do it is to, you know, have access to information and talk about, talk about these issues that come up. You know, getting legal advice.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and also like be careful with a joint bank account, and, you know, make sure that both people have to sign to access money out of that joint bank account. So, you know, that's just a couple of ways. And the other thing that sort of can happen is that if you've got a partner can take out a loan that you don't know about, they can also rack up, you know, credit card debt. So if it's a joint credit card, that's also, you know, what can happen. And perhaps they might have a gambling problem as well. I think someone I was speaking to the other day, they said that their partner disappeared out of bed at night, and they thought that they were working, but it turns out that he'd actually gone off to the casino.
That's sad. That's sad.
But it's really sad, isn't it? It turned out that that's where he was going every night, to the casino. So, you know, these are sort of some of the scenarios. And you know, like, the worst consequence is that you could lose a house. And again, sort of small business. You know, like it could be like a joint business, or it could be, you know, like the business could be in the name of one of the partners. But if that business fails, then if those assets aren't protected, you know, like the family home, then the bank will step in and they will take the family home and they will sell it, and the bank becomes the vendor. So in that case, the bank will accept the first offer. So perhaps that offer may not be as high as it could be, which would be beneficial to the person who's going through that process. But the bank just wants their money, so they accept the first offer, and the house is gone.
So in that case, then you're better off to sell the house yourself. Go to the agent, say, I've got this property I need to sell ASAP. You sell it so you get a good price. So you let the bank do it, but as you say, they will just take the first offer. So that's what we did. We went through an agent. We sold the house, and we sold it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks is really fast. But you know what we did forget to say? we're going to make golden syrup dumplings while we have a chat about this.
And why are we making golden syrup dumplings?
Well, I was going to ask you that, Lois, because Lois, that was Lois's choice, and Lois's mother used to make golden syrup dumplings. And tell us about that, Lois.
Well, coming from a background, after the Second World War, many families didn't have any money. You know, they just lived off the land, or they just, like, you know, I don't know what their wages would have been. It would have been in pounds in those days. They might have earned £2 a week or something.
Yeah, £2 isn't very much, is it?
No. And so the woman of the house used to have to provide, and she would cook. They would use things from the garden, and in our case, we had a farm, and my father would kill a sheep for us to eat, and so my mother used to always make dessert for us, and one of our favourites was golden syrup dumplings.
Yum.
Yeah, so this is what we're endeavouring to make for you today.
I don't know about endeavouring.
It'll be delicious.
It will, it will.
Yes.
So you grew up on a farm, so in the country, so you sort of know about...
I know how to live on nothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm very, like, I go to the supermarket, and for me, for the week, I'd probably spend maybe $30 just for me. But my husband would go into the supermarket and spend $30 a day if I'd let him, but I don't. He's, oh, can we just have this guy? No. I feel like I'm talking to, you know, one of my little people, but anyway, that's...
So the consequence is that you lost your family home, and you, due to a failed business, and you moved in with your daughter and her family.
Yes.
And then you were with them for, was it?
6 months.
6 months?
About 6 months.
Yeah, and then you rented a townhouse.
Yes, yes. And then because my husband had another part-time job that brought in some income, so he earns enough to pay rent, but that's all. And we're both on a pension now, and so I know how pensioners struggle.
We need the butter. That's the next step, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to move that over your way just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
So that you don't have to sort of lean in.
Yes, okay. Now, in the interim, do you want to do the sauce?
I can do that. I can make a start on the sauce. That's a
I
good
think
idea.
that's probably a good idea because it needs to...
Okay. Oh, it needs to cook.
Yes.
Okay.
It needs to be
Good plan.
warm. The idea of when you're using butter and flour is to get as much air into it as possible. So my mother taught me.
Get enough air into it.
Yes. And also I was fortunate enough in my growing up to go to boarding school, and we went to home economics, and so we learnt all the basics of cooking, of which was one, like if you make scones, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I remember I did home, they called it home management when I did it.
Well, you are a bit younger than me, dear.
No, just
So my parents had a dairy farm, and they worked really hard. My mother never went to work, and yeah, so she just provided for us and taught us things and taught us how to manage money, basically. And that was in the days when dairy farmers actually made a bit of money. They don't today, but
No, they don't. But dairy farms they're hard work, aren't they? Because you've got to get up, those cows have to be milked every morning and afternoon.
in the mud and slush and all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's hard work.
Yes.
I always said I was never going to marry a dairy farmer.
Same here.
Oh, good on you. That looks great.
I could be Mrs. Jamie Oliver, couldn't I?
You could indeed.
There you go.
You could indeed.
So,
that looks great.
So into that we have to mix the milk and
Okay, so that's the golden syrup.
the milk.
Yep, that's mixed in with the milk.
Yeah.
So that's ready to go.
So how are you going in the back burner over there?
Well, I forgot to turn the stove top on, so I've just turned it on.
Yeah.
So things are progressing.
Good. So we're mixing the milk and golden syrup together. So we're going to mix that into
Okay, and I'll
our flour.
get our brown sugar, because the brown sugar needs to go in as well.
Yes.
And we need golden syrup too. Oh, and we need this butter. So I'm going to put this butter in there, because that's 50 grams.
My mother joined the church groups in the little country town in which we lived, and she also was a member of the CWA. She was an amazing talker. She was just had all the talent. She was a dressmaker and upholsterer and cook and everything. And I just didn't get all those skills. I hate sewing.
I'm not a sewer either, and my grandmother was a very good sewer, but I'm not a sewer either.
Into the dough.
That's okay, Lois, we're good at other things.
Yes. Sorry about that noise, folks.
Alright. Right, and we'll let that boil for 15 to 20 minutes, and I think I can pop the kettle on. So it's been great to chat, hasn't it, Lois? All those dumplings have been cooking.
Yes.
But I think they're ready.
Good.
So
let's have a look.
Yeah, let's have a look at them.
What they look like.
Oh wow, that looks awesome. Well, that looks pretty good, Lois, I have to say. Well, thank you, Lois, for joining me in my kitchen.
Thanks, Mother, for teaching me how to make dumplings.
No, I think you taught me, to be honest. So, Country Women's Association recipe.
Yes, it is.
And it looks
It's heavy, isn't it?
looks delicious. Yes. So thank you, and thanks for coming in today.
That's my pleasure.
We've had lots of chats, haven't we, about different
Thank you.
subjects. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
right. Well, thank you, and join us next time.